What lies beneath your feet right now? Not soil, not rock, but entire cities, carved rivers, forgotten wars, hidden fortunes, and chambers no sunlight has ever touched. For thousands of years, humans have been building a second world underground, one hidden from maps, from history books, and from almost everyone alive today. Some of these places sheltered thousands of people from war. Some hide gold, seeds, and secrets meant to outlive civilization itself. Some are still being explored because no one knows exactly how deep they go. By the time this journey ends, you will never look at the ground beneath you the same way again. Derinkuyu Underground City. In the heart of Cappadocia, Turkey, farmers were digging in 1963 when the earth simply opened beneath them. What they found stunned archaeologists around the world. A city carved 18 stories into volcanic rock capable of hiding 20,000 people, along with their livestock and food supplies, for months at a time. Derinkuyu was built by ancient civilizations and expanded over centuries, its narrow tunnels deliberately designed so invaders could only pass through single file, making them easy to trap and stop. Massive circular stone doors, some weighing hundreds of kilograms, could seal off entire sections from the inside. Ventilation shafts, some reaching 60 meters deep, pumped fresh air to every level, an engineering feat that still puzzles experts today. Entire communities lived here in secrecy during times of religious persecution and invasion, raising children, tending animals, and worshiping in hidden chapels, all without ever stepping into daylight. Nobody is entirely certain how many more levels remain unexcavated beneath the known city, and that uncertainty is exactly what makes the next chapter of Cappadocia's underground world even more extraordinary. Kaymaklı Underground City, just a few kilometers from Derinkuyu, lies its twin, and in many ways its rival. Kaymaklı is believed to connect to Derinkuyu through miles of unexplored tunnels, though no one has ever confirmed the full extent of that link. Unlike its neighbor, Kaymaklı's passageways are wider but shorter, forcing anyone who walks them to bend forward almost as if the city itself demands humility. Families here didn't just hide. They built entire lives underground, complete with wineries, stables, and communal kitchens with blackened ceilings. From centuries of smoke. Historians believe early Christians used this city to escape Roman persecution, later expanding it during Arab raids. In the 7th century, what's chilling is how self-sufficient it was. With its own water wells and food storage, Kaymaklı could survive a siege for months, without anyone above ground ever knowing it was there. Humanity's talent for underground survival would resurface during one of the most brutal wars. Cu Chi Tunnels. Beneath the jungles just outside Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, lies a network of tunnels so narrow that many modern visitors cannot fit through them. During the Vietnam War, Viet Cong fighters carved over 250 kilometers of tunnels through hard clay soil, using them as hiding spots and hospitals, kitchens, and command centers, all while American forces searched the jungle above. Some sections held sleeping chambers barely wide enough for a single body. Ventilation holes were disguised as termite mounds. Traps were hidden along entry points, designed to stop enemy soldiers who dared to follow. Entire families lived in near-total darkness for years, developing what soldiers later called near-total night vision from spending so much time without sunlight. It's one of the most extreme examples in modern history of how deeply humans will dig to survive. But tunnels weren't only carved for war. Moose Jaw Tunnels. Beneath the quiet prairie streets of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, in Canada, lies a maze of passageways with a history far stranger. The tunnels were first dug in the early 20th century by Chinese immigrant laborers who used them to move between laundries and businesses, avoiding the brutal prairie winters and racism. During the Prohibition era of the 1920s, the tunnels took on a new and far more dangerous purpose. Local legend claims that American gangster Al Capone used Moose Jaw as a secret hub for smuggling illegal liquor across the border into the United States, hiding cash, alcohol, and even people in these same underground corridors. The tunnels were undeniably used by real bootleggers and smugglers. Walking through the dim, narrow passages today, visitors can still see recreated speakeasies and hidden storage rooms exactly as they might have looked a century ago. It's proof that not every secret world underground was built out of fear. Some were built purely out of ambition and greed. Beneath the romantic streets of Paris lies something far darker than cafes and cobblestones. In the late 18th century, the city's cemeteries had become so overcrowded that graves were collapsing into neighboring basements, spreading disease through packed neighborhoods. The solution was as unsettling as it was practical. Millions of human remains were exhumed and relocated into the abandoned limestone quarries beneath the city. Today, an estimated 6 million skeletons rest in these tunnels, their bones stacked deliberately into walls, some arranged in eerie patterns by 19th century workers who saw artistry even in death. Only a small section is open to the public, but the full tunnel network stretches for hundreds of kilometers beneath the city, largely unmapped and officially off-limits. A secretive group known as cataphiles still explores these forbidden passages at night, discovering hidden rooms, underground cinemas, and even a fully stocked bar built illegally decades ago. Getting lost down here isn't just a nightmare. It has happened, with tragic and permanent consequences. If bones beneath a city sound unsettling, wait until you see what an entire modern town looks like when it moves underground completely. In the scorching outback of South Australia, temperatures regularly soar past 50 degrees Celsius, hot enough to make surface life nearly unbearable. So, the residents of Coober Pedy did something remarkable. They moved underground permanently. This opal mining town, discovered in 1915, is now home to underground houses, churches, hotels, and even a swimming pool, all carved directly into the sandstone hills. The temperature below ground stays a comfortable and constant 22 degrees year-round, no matter how brutal conditions are on the surface. Many homes began as literal mining tunnels, later expanded into full living spaces complete with bedrooms carved from solid rock. The town produces most of the world's opal supply, and locals still dig for gemstones directly beneath their own homes. It sounds almost peaceful until you remember this remote town sits in one of the most isolated, dangerous desert environments on Earth, where getting lost above ground can be just as deadly as anything below it. Australia isn't the only place where an entire town chose to vanish beneath the earth. In northern France, beneath quiet farmland, lies a labyrinth carved not for one war, but for centuries of them. The underground city of Naur began as a hiding place during medieval invasions, expanding over hundreds of years into a subterranean town with over 300 rooms, bakeries, stables, and even chapels. Entire villages would disappear into these tunnels whenever raiders approached, sometimes hiding here for months while their homes above were looted or burned. During World War I, the tunnels took on a haunting new purpose. Soldiers stationed nearby left thousands of carvings and signatures on the chalk walls, many of them from young men who would never return home. Some of these markings remain perfectly preserved today, silent messages from soldiers who found brief safety underground before facing the horrors above. Walking through Naurs feels less like visiting a tourist site and more like reading a diary written in stone. But some underground worlds weren't dug by desperate hands. They were carved by an entire industry. Beneath the Polish city of Krakow lies one of the oldest continuously operating industrial sites on the planet. The Wieliczka salt mine has been in operation since the 13th century, and over the centuries, miners didn't just extract salt, they built an underground cathedral entirely out of it. Chapels, chandeliers, statues, and even altarpieces have all been carved directly from salt rock, some so intricate they took decades to complete. The mine descends over 300 meters and stretches across nearly 300 kilometers of tunnels, though only a small fraction is open to visitors. Miners once faced constant danger from toxic gas pockets and unstable ceilings, and many lost their lives extracting the very salt that shaped the region's economy for centuries. Today, the air down here is so pure that parts of the mine are used as a health sanatorium for people with respiratory conditions. It's astonishing to think that a place built on hardship and danger has become a sanctuary for healing. Long before miners dug for salt in Poland, however, another civilization had already mastered the art of moving something even more precious underground: water itself. In the arid plains of northeastern Iran, survival for thousands of years has depended on a piece of engineering so old it predates most recorded history. The Qanat of Gonabad is believed to be more than 2,700 years old, an underground aqueduct system stretching over 30 kilometers, carrying fresh groundwater from the mountains down to farms and villages using nothing but gravity. Its main shaft plunges over 300 meters into the earth, making it one of the deepest wells of its kind ever constructed. Dug entirely by hand using only simple tools and an extraordinary understanding of underground geology. Along its length, hundreds of smaller vertical shafts drop down to meet the main channel, originally used for ventilation and excavation, and still visible today as strange rows of holes dotting the desert surface above. Workers who built and maintained these tunnels faced constant risk of collapse, suffocation, and flooding, laboring in total darkness to keep water flowing to a population that depended on it entirely for survival. Remarkably, parts of this ancient system are still functioning today, quietly supplying water exactly as they did nearly 3,000 years ago. It's a humbling reminder that long before modern engineering existed, humans had already learned to bend the earth itself to their will. From ancient water tunnels built to sustain life, our journey now turns toward a very different kind of underground world, one built purely out of fear of annihilation. During the height of Cold War tensions in the 1970s, China feared a Soviet nuclear attack was imminent. In response, the government mobilized ordinary citizens, students, and soldiers to dig an enormous underground shelter beneath Beijing, now known as Dixia-Cheng. Using little more than shovels and hand tools, workers carved out a network stretching roughly 30 kilometers, designed to shelter as many as 1 million people in the event of war. The tunnels included schools, theaters, clinics, and even a roller skating rink built to keep an entire population functioning underground for extended periods. Thankfully, the attack never came, and much of the city was eventually closed off, though sections still exist beneath the modern streets, hidden beneath shops and apartment buildings most residents walk over without a second thought. It's a strange, sobering reminder of just how close the world once came to nuclear catastrophe. And speaking of nuclear fears, one mountain in America was hollowed out for a very similar reason on a scale that's almost impossible to imagine. Deep inside a granite mountain in Colorado lies one of the most secure facilities ever constructed by human hands. Built during the Cold War, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex was designed to survive a direct nuclear strike, housing critical military command centers responsible for monitoring threats to North America. The entire facility sits on massive springs, allowing the structure to absorb the shock of a nearby explosion without collapsing. Blast doors weighing 25 tons each can seal the complex off from the outside world in seconds. For decades, this mountain has quietly operated as a nerve center for continental defense, largely unknown to the public despite appearing in countless films and stories. Even today, parts of the facility remain active, hidden behind granite that has protected its secrets for over half a century. If a mountain in America hides Cold War secrets, an entire underground city in England hides an even stranger, almost forgotten government secret of its own. Beneath the quiet English countryside near Wiltshire lies an underground town so secretive it remained classified for decades. Burlington Bunker was built during the Cold War as a shelter for the British government in the event of nuclear war, designed to house up to 4,000 people, including the Prime Minister, for months underground. Spanning an area larger than several football fields, the complex included its own BBC broadcasting studio meant to deliver final messages to survivors above ground after an attack. Streets, offices, and dormitories were built underground exactly as they would exist in a functioning town, right down to street signage. For years, its very existence was denied by the government, only becoming public knowledge decades later. Walking through its abandoned corridors today feels like stepping into a paused moment of history, frozen in preparation for a catastrophe that, thankfully, never came. But nations weren't the only ones who once needed a hidden refuge carved into rock. Centuries earlier, a single man built his fortress into the mouth of a cave, daring anyone to come and take it from him. Prijama Castle, a fortress carved into the limestone cliff. Clinging to the mouth of a towering cave in Slovenia, Prijama Castle looks almost impossible. A Renaissance fortress half swallowed by solid limestone cliff, rising more than 100 meters above the valley floor. It was built directly into the cave opening specifically so its defenders could use the mountain itself as a weapon, with the rock overhead making the castle nearly impossible to attack from above. Legend tells of a rebellious knight named Arazem, who used the castle as his stronghold in the 15th century after defying local nobility. According to the story, enemy forces laid siege to the castle for over a year, yet Arazem always seemed to have fresh food and supplies, seemingly by magic. What his besiegers didn't know was that a secret tunnel, carved through the mountain itself, connected the castle to the outside world, allowing him to slip past his enemies undetected again and again. Historians still debate exactly how much of this story is legend and how much is fact, but the tunnel itself is real, and visitors can walk through it today. It's a place where architecture and myth blur together almost seamlessly. If one man once hid supplies inside a mountain to survive a siege, imagine what an entire civilization might hide inside a mountain to survive the end of the world itself. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, hidden in the Arctic. On a remote Arctic island roughly 1,000 kilometers from the North Pole, buried deep inside a frozen mountain, sits what many call humanity's insurance policy against total catastrophe. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, carved into the permafrost near Longyearbyen, Norway, stores backup samples of seeds from gene banks and research institutions all over the world, currently holding well over 1 million varieties of crops. It was deliberately built 130 meters above sea level, ensuring it would remain untouched even if polar ice caps melted completely. The surrounding permafrost is designed to keep the vault frozen naturally, meaning the seeds inside could theoretically remain preserved for decades, even during a complete power failure. Thick steel doors and reinforced concrete protect the entrance, while the seeds themselves rest deep inside the mountain, far beyond the reach of war, natural disaster, or civil collapse. Countries have already withdrawn samples from the vault after real-world crises destroyed their own seed banks, proving that this frozen mountain isn't just a symbolic gesture. It has already saved irreplaceable genetic history at least once. It's a strange kind of comfort, knowing that somewhere in the Arctic darkness, the future of our food supply is quietly waiting, just in case. If one vault protects the future of life on Earth, another vault, buried just as deep, protects something humanity has always been willing to fight and die for. Fort Knox, located in the hills of Kentucky. In the rolling hills of Kentucky, United States, sits a building most people have heard of, yet almost no one alive has ever actually seen inside. The United States Bullion Depository at Fort Knox holds a significant portion of America's gold reserves, protected inside a granite and steel vault reinforced with thick layers of concrete designed to withstand direct attack. Security here is famously extreme. No single person is trusted with the complete combination needed to open the vault, and the surrounding military base adds additional layers of protection most banks could never match. Very few outsiders have ever been permitted inside, and even government officials rarely gain access, feeding decades of rumors, myths, and conspiracy theories about exactly how much gold actually remains stored there. Unlike ancient tombs or forgotten bunkers, this vault isn't hidden by time or nature. It's hidden entirely by design, protected as much by secrecy as by steel. It's a strange modern monument, a fortress built not to shelter people, but to shelter trust itself, the belief that something valuable is safely locked away, even if almost no one will ever see it with their own eyes. From guarded gold reserves, our journey moves toward a city built not to protect wealth, but simply to make everyday life bearable. Montreal Underground City. In Canada, where winters can plunge to brutally cold temperatures, the city of Montreal built something extraordinary, an entire underground world designed purely for comfort. Known as RESO, this underground network stretches over 30 kilometers, connecting shopping centers, universities, metro stations, apartments, and offices, all without anyone needing to step outside into the freezing cold. It's the largest underground complex of its kind in the world, allowing over 500,000 people to move through the city daily while completely shielded from harsh weather. What began as a single underground shopping plaza in the 1960s slowly expanded over decades into a fully functioning subterranean city, complete with cinemas, restaurants, and art installations. Unlike the war-driven tunnels of Europe or Asia, Montreal's underground world exists purely to make daily life easier, proving that not every hidden world below the surface has to be built from desperation. Not far beneath the surface of another country, scientists have built something even stranger, a tunnel designed not to shelter humanity, but to unlock the very secrets of the universe itself. Beneath the border of Switzerland and France, roughly 100 meters underground, lies a ring of tunnel 27 kilometers long, built for a single, almost unimaginable purpose. This is the Large Hadron Collider, the world's largest and most powerful particle accelerator, where scientists send beams of particles racing at nearly the speed of light before smashing them together to recreate conditions that existed just moments after the Big Bang. Thousands of physicists from around the world work here, studying the fundamental building blocks of reality itself, deep beneath vineyards and quiet farmland that give no hint of the extraordinary science happening below. In 2012, experiments here confirmed the existence of the Higgs boson, a particle theorized decades earlier and considered essential to understanding why matter has mass at all, a discovery that reshaped modern physics. The tunnel itself is a marvel of engineering, cooled to temperatures colder than outer space to allow its massive magnets to function, requiring an infrastructure so complex it took years just to construct the underground shell alone. Unlike ancient tunnels built to hide from history, this tunnel was built to look directly into the origins of everything that has ever existed. If one underground tunnel was built to understand the birth of the universe, another was built simply to keep the lights on for millions of people hidden inside a mountain most of them will never even notice. Inside a mountain in Snowdonia, Wales, lies one of the largest man-made caverns ever carved by human hands, built for a purpose most visitors to the surrounding national park would never guess. Dinorwig Power Station, nicknamed Electric Mountain, is a pumped storage hydroelectric plant hidden almost entirely inside Ellesmere Far Mountain, deliberately built underground to preserve the natural beauty of the landscape above. When electricity demand suddenly spikes, water stored in a reservoir high above the mountain is released, rushing down through massive turbines buried deep inside solid rock, capable of generating enough power to supply hundreds of thousands of homes within seconds. Remarkably, the entire system can go from a complete standstill to full power output in under 16 seconds, one of the fastest response times of any power station on the planet. Engineers excavated more than 1 million tons of rock to create the caverns housing the turbines, essentially hollowing out a small mountain from the inside while leaving its outer slopes completely untouched. It stands as proof that some of the most powerful infrastructure on Earth can be built entirely out of sight, hidden so effectively that most people driving past the mountain have no idea what lies beneath its surface. From a mountain built to generate power in seconds, our journey now leaves human engineering behind completely and heads toward caves shaped patiently by nature over millions of years. In Kentucky, United States, lies the longest known cave system on the planet. Mammoth Cave stretches over 650 kilometers, and researchers continue to discover new passageways every single year, meaning its true length may never be fully known. Formed over millions of years as water slowly dissolved limestone bedrock, the cave contains towering underground chambers, rivers, and even eyeless fish species that have adapted to permanent darkness. In the 1840s, the cave was even used as an experimental tuberculosis hospital based on the mistaken belief that its constant, cool air might cure the disease. Patients lived in stone huts deep inside the cave for months, and tragically, many did not survive the experiment. Today, scientists still explore its farthest reaches using advanced mapping technology, uncovering sections that haven't changed in millions of years. Yet even a system this vast is dwarfed by a single cave discovered halfway across the world, one so massive it contains its own weather system. Hidden deep within the jungles of Vietnam lies a cave so enormous that it contains its own clouds, its own river, and even patches of jungle growing beneath the Earth's surface. Sun Dung Cave was only fully explored in 2009, despite locals knowing about its entrance for decades. And it remains one of the least accessible natural wonders on the planet, requiring days of difficult trekking just to reach it. Certain chambers are large enough to fit an entire New York City block, complete with towering stalagmites, some taller than a 40-story building. Sunlight pours through two massive collapsed sections of ceiling, allowing ancient forest ecosystems to thrive in what scientists now call the cave's own Gardens of Eden. Because of its scale and remote location, only a limited number of permitted expeditions are allowed each year, making it one of the most exclusive natural sites on Earth. Flash floods can seal off sections of the cave in minutes, trapping anyone still inside. As unbelievable as a cave containing its own jungle sounds, one cave in China took nature's artistry in an entirely different, almost otherworldly direction. In Guilin, China, limestone formations have been sculpted over more than 180 million years into shapes so surreal that early visitors believed the cave held magical properties. Reed Flute Cave earned its name from the reeds growing near its entrance, once used by locals to craft flutes. Inside, stalactites and stalagmites form dreamlike shapes resembling animals, forests, and imagined kingdoms, now illuminated by colorful lighting that transforms the cave into something resembling another planet entirely. Ink inscriptions dating back over 1,000 years, left by ancient travelers and poets, still mark the cave walls, describing its beauty in ways strikingly similar to how visitors describe it today. During World War II, local residents used the cave as an air raid shelter, hiding from Japanese bombing campaigns within its vast natural chambers. It's a strange contrast, a place so beautiful it inspired centuries of poetry, yet also a place that once sheltered people from the horrors of war above. From painted stone in China, our journey now leads to caves that glow entirely on their own without any help from human hands at all. On New Zealand's North Island, an eerie blue-green light fills certain cave ceilings, but it isn't man-made, and it isn't magic. It comes from thousands of tiny glowworms, each one dangling sticky silk threads to trap insects, their bioluminescent glow acting as a lure in the pitch darkness. Boating silently beneath these living constellations feels like drifting beneath a starlit sky, except every star above you is alive and hunting. Local Maori people have known about these caves for centuries, considered sacred long before Europeans discovered them in the late 1800s. The ecosystem here is incredibly fragile. Even small changes in noise, light, or carbon dioxide levels from human breathing can disrupt the glowworm's delicate hunting behavior, which is why strict visitor limits are enforced. It's humbling to realize that some of the most breathtaking light shows on Earth are created by creatures most people will never even see up close. But if glowing caves feel otherworldly, nothing compares to caves that exist entirely underwater. In Slovenia, an underground canyon exists that feels almost impossible to comprehend from the surface. The Škocjan Caves contain one of the largest known underground canyons on Earth, carved by the Reka River as it plunges dramatically underground and continues carving through solid rock for kilometers. The main chamber is so massive it could comfortably fit several cathedrals inside, with a suspension bridge crossing directly over a roaring underground river far below. Local legends once described these caves as an entrance to the underworld, and standing at the edge of that thundering darkness, it's easy to understand why ancient people believed exactly that. Flash floods here are so powerful that water levels have been recorded rising over 100 meters in a matter of hours, an almost unimaginable force reshaping the cave with terrifying speed. Recognized by UNESCO for its extraordinary natural significance, this cave system reminds us just how much power rivers hold once they disappear from view. Speaking of rivers vanishing underground, one hidden cave system in Mexico holds a secret so vast it remained completely unknown until recently. Beneath the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico lies the longest known underwater cave system on the planet. Sistema Sac Actun stretches for over 350 kilometers. And in 2018, explorers made an astonishing discovery, connecting it to a neighboring cave system, revealing what may be the single largest flooded cave network ever found. These crystal-clear underwater tunnels, known as cenotes, were considered sacred portals by the ancient Maya, who believed they connected directly to the underworld. Archaeologists have discovered ancient human remains, extinct giant sloth bones, and Maya ceremonial artifacts preserved perfectly within these submerged passageways. Some untouched for over 10,000 years, diving here requires extreme technical skill, as divers must navigate pitch-black tunnels using guidelines, since a single wrong turn in zero visibility can mean never finding the way back out. Several experienced divers have tragically lost their lives exploring these tunnels, a haunting reminder of how unforgiving this hidden world can be. As astonishing as an underwater Maya underworld sounds, nothing could prepare us for the final place on this journey, where an entire hidden street reveals one of history's most heartbreaking secrets. Beneath the busy streets of Edinburgh, Scotland, lies a place that most tourists walking above have no idea even exists. Mary King's Close was once a real, bustling street, lined with homes and shops, until the city expanded and simply built directly on top of it, burying the street and its buildings beneath newer construction in the 17th and 18th centuries. For generations, rumors spread that the close had been sealed off during a plague outbreak, trapping infected residents inside to die. Though historians have since clarified that most people were evacuated and the more chilling legends were somewhat exaggerated over time. Still, verified history here is haunting enough on its own. Families lived in cramped, windowless conditions, often several to a single room, facing disease, poverty, and unimaginable hardship as the city around them literally rose over their heads. Walking through its narrow, preserved passageways today, you can still see fragments of original stone walls, fireplaces, and doorways frozen in time for over 3 centuries. It's not the scale or the danger that makes this place so unforgettable. It's the intimacy of it, the quiet reminder that behind every hidden tunnel and buried city, there were real people who lived, struggled, and disappeared beneath the very ground we walk on without a second thought. 25 worlds hidden beneath our feet, each one telling a different story about who we are as a species. Some of these places were built out of fear, sealed away to survive war, disease, or disaster. Some were built to protect what we value most: gold, seeds, secrets, and power itself. Others were shaped by nothing but time itself, carved patiently over millions of years by water and stone, indifferent to human history entirely. And some remind us of something quieter, something almost tender, that even in our darkest, most desperate moments, humans have always found a way to build, to hide, to survive, and sometimes to create astonishing beauty in the process. The surface of our planet may feel fully explored, mapped down to the last mountain and coastline, but beneath it lies an entire second world. Still largely unknown, still slowly revealing its secrets, one tunnel, one chamber, one discovery at a time. If this journey beneath the earth left you amazed, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, and stay close because the next hidden world we uncover might be even more unbelievable than anything you've just seen.